Greetings, this is James Gilliland with As You Wish Talk Radio. We've got a great show tonight. I hope you're all handling these full moon energies because it is a whopper. It feels like the earth is like this big balloon right now with so much energy in it, and I hope nobody sticks the needle in it. But let's go, one of those earthquakes. But anyway, flow with this energy, go within, and what better guest to have to talk about some of these energies and flowing with these energies. I've got Sifu Christopher Matsuo, and he teaches internal martial arts at the Research Institute. He's the director of Bhagwan, Grand Master of Dragon Gate Sanctuary. He has such a long bio here. I talked to him earlier. We're going to shorten it. He does acupuncture, Tibetan medicine, so many different things he's involved in, and we'll just bring those out through the interview. He's coming to us from Hawaii, and without any further ado, let's welcome Chris on the show. Chris, are you with us?
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show. There's so many things we can cover, and I did get a list from people that with quite a few questions in here, if you don't mind, but I want to go ahead and start at the beginning and, talk a little bit about your background with, the arts that you teach, and at what age did you start with these disciplines?
Oh, I started, interesting story. I started when, with my grandfather. He used to wake me up early in the morning, and he'd actually put me on his hand. So I'd stand on his hand, and then he'd make me walk down his arm, past his shoulder, and to the other arm, and then to the other hand. And then he'd take me out to the garden. And do you know what bougainvilleas are, those beautiful flowers?
Yes.
He'd take me out to the garden, and we'd watch butterflies. And he'd just wait until we get into this nice zone. And he'd go up and he'd pick the butterfly right off the flower. And then he'd take me up to the butterflies and let me pick them off there, and I could do it by myself. It's only about 2 or 3. That was a good start.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's amazing to be, to have that kind of training that young. Is there any more? I'm sure there's a lot more to that story. Can you talk about some of the other disciplines that you entertained after that?
Oh yeah, I know there was a big ninja boom in maybe in the 70s and 80s, and actually after the boom was over, I ran into the ninjutsu master in Honolulu, Hawaii, on the Big Island, and I was studying with him. So I got a really deep, really beautiful foundation from him, and he actually prepared me for everything else. I got him in his prime, at a good time, and that was one of the best trainings I had. Also, training with Matsuo Sensei from Japan. He moved over to the Big Island when I was really lucky, and I got to train with him there.
Yeah, it does seem like these things are almost preordained. It's that old saying, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. But I've seen that same thing with myself. I've noticed that all these teachers, whenever I would get an inner prompting, I need to go study this or learn this or whatever, all of a sudden the teacher would just like appear or whatever, and often right in our own backyard.
It is like that. Yeah, it ruined so many plans for trips for me. Every time I wanted to go to China or Japan or Tibet, they would just show up and ruin my travel plans.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that, because that's the same thing that happened to me. I was planning on going to India and Tibet, and the lamas and the yogis would just show up, and
that's
right there. Yeah. I wouldn't have to go
now
anywhere.
When we go, we can go to the flea market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably meet the Grand Master there selling something, who knows.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your school? Tell us about the Dragon Gate School and maybe when it was founded and what's your vision for the school?
It was founded in 1993. I wanted to show people I wanted to show people a metaphor or a reflection of their life. Like they do a lot of things in their life, and they master a lot in their life, but they just don't know that. And they also have a lot of gifts, a lot of psychic abilities, but they just don't use it correctly. They use it to fight with their family. So actually, I show them where the gift is, and I show them, where everything matches. It's like drawing a bridge for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my goal. Actually, it's a small goal, but it's an important goal.
So basically, teaching people how to stay centered and use their energies correctly and maybe focus their energies.
Yeah, I show them how they already mastered their energy, or how they already have a gift and they just need to learn how to use it properly. But their life already, it's already existing in their life somewhere, in their professions, in what they do.
Yeah. There's we have a big question here because we have so many people that are connected into this, the higher dimensional beings and things. And one of the questions they asked is there a connection between the star nations and your system of knowledge, the martial arts, Taoism, Buddhism, and shamanism?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know too much vocabulary, but the Taoist sect that I'm connected to is a pole star sect, and it's the same for the Tibetan root. That swastika symbol that Hitler used, and it's a Buddhist symbol. Also a Mongolian symbol. That's the pole star swimming around that's the Big Dipper swimming around the pole star. So it's a pole star sect, and so I'm not sure so much about the star systems, but the 9 palaces is the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, Sirius, and Polaris. And so that's where the origin of my Kung Fu is. It also came from Bonpo shamanism, which we know that they're a little misunderstood, but they hold postures, walk circle, they open gateways in the sky, and legendarily a ladder will come down from heaven to earth and open. And that ladder is the DNA, and the Japanese fondants that exist now, and that's what became my bagua, my Chinese Kung Fu. And so,
it seems like especially the Japanese are really plugged into the Pleiades system, and they even have it on the front of the Subarus and things of that nature.
Oh, so yeah. You got to show me that later.
I thought that's and Mazda. They have the Mazda, and that's basically one of their gods. So it's
is it Mazda like Ahura Mazda, like the Persian Zoroastrian?
Yeah,
that's the root of my bong. That's the root of my bong pole. Oh, maybe it is a nice family tree.
I know some of the Tibetan practices when I was working with them, and some of the Tibetan masters would understand. I would talk to them about Pleiadians and these really tall feline beings that would appear, and and they'd know what I was talking about, and they would smile and they go, but and then others were saying, no, ignore that, don't go there, just that's a distraction. And they didn't know anything about it. They had no idea that they even existed.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. I went to one, I won't mention names, but one really high Lama, very old Lama, and talked to him about it. He goes, well, we see lights in the sky, but we don't pay any attention to them. And
just ignore.
Yeah, and I go, wow, if you did, you ought to connect with one of them, It's like...
yeah, I guess there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going around, too.
Yeah. Well, I had a guy who was very adept at Qigong and Kung Fu, and he was from Korea, and he came here. And what happened was all of his teachings, he said the ancient teachings that he got into, they all go back to the stars, and that's what he was telling me. And so he said he really wanted to find out what this was about. And we had a guy here doing a talk about the Pleiadians and things. And he came to the talk, and then he tried to leave the ranch, and he couldn't leave. And something just would not let him leave. And he came back, and he started asking me a million questions about, the different beings up there, the star nations. And one of them started coming into me really strong that wanted to connect with him. And so, I connected him with him so he could feel the energy. And he sat there and he cried for about 20 minutes. And he said, this is 10,000 times stronger than anything I've ever experienced. And he got his answer, I guess. But it does seem like when you track these most ancient teachings down, they seem to either go back to Egypt, which goes back to Atlantis, Lemuria, which goes back to the Star Nations, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's been your experience or not, or
a lot of connections to the sky, even if they're not specific. What exactly? There's always connections to the sky, and there's always this manuscripts passed down to speak to them when they come back down. So I have some manuscripts handed to me that of chants to in an old ancient language to speak to the if they're aliens when they come down, and the hands to show them. There's 8 or 9 hands to show, which is from my the origin of my kung fu.
Nice. Yeah, it's interesting when I noticed like let's say yoga. There's a lot of people practicing yoga, and they can do all the postures and everything else, and then you try to talk to them about anything else, and they just look at you with this look like you just go, okay, and and one of them I talked to this one yogi. He was like this supposed to be really well known. He's teaching the yoga classes all over the world and supposed to study in India and everything. And you talk to him about the higher connections and Babaji and things like that, and he would just say, well, yeah, Babaji is the master, but we don't care about. Has nothing to do at all with the star nations or the higher dimensional beings. And I go, it has everything to do with it.
That's amazing.
But I see how people can get caught into a religion form. Like I think it's very important to spend time practicing your arts and things like that, but also stay open to what that's going to generate or what kind of doors that's going to open for you.
That's true. Yeah, I'm sure but there's a difference between the shaman and the priest, and there's also a difference in people, when they're ready or when they're not ready. So when they're not so ready, the priests are there to act between God and the people. They're not to perform rituals, for the fear of where the dead go, what's going to happen. All those, they're there to address that and bring the people together into a body, and that's their main, historical use. And the shaman is different. It was for people who wanted to work on themselves, wanted to develop. They have that urge or that hunger to be better, to develop, to evolve, work on themselves. I think that's why there's so little knowledge or material to work on yourself in the religions. It's mostly just to gather them together and have a support group. But there's not so much knowledge in developing yourself, and that was left more to the shaman, the caste in history.
Yeah, it seems like when you're ready to make your own personal God connection or spirit creator, whatever you want to call it, you go to the shamans. And if you want, like you're saying, if you want somebody else to, take responsibility for that, you go to the priest. Yeah. But there's a price to pay.
Yeah, like if you're, our parents or grandparents, they have no idea sometimes, so they need something to feel better, and then we have to go higher up. We have to go to the church.
Yeah.
organize some kind of ritual for them.
Yeah, there's a I've talked to a lot of different teachers of a lot of different faiths and disciplines and things, and it seems a lot of them talk about this point that you get to in your spiritual evolution where you make a choice and you either choose service to others or you move into self-service and you use and then you're given these powers and you either use that power, the ultimate power is love and love serves, or you get these other powers for overpowering people and manipulating people. And I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about that, because it seems like people hit that point and they need to know that, if you need to be very clear about the choice you make when you hit that threshold.
That's right. Yeah. I know a lot about that, actually. I'm not sure where to start, but I could talk the rest of the week on that. I think what's important is that, I think the teachers that are there now that have the knowledge, the talent, the skill, but they do have the abusive, there's some abusive streaks in there. I think they become double teachers because they show us something. And we could become them, but then when we see what they're doing and what they could have, and what things could be done, we make our choices, and that makes us learn from them in one way, and then learn from them in another way, and we realize what we don't want to be and what we do want to be, and that's it's more inspiring than just following a teacher and trying to do what he follow as much as he teaches. So I think it's a really great inspiration. Maybe the first couple of years I didn't, but now I do.
Yeah, I know. I think sometimes I really thank people in my life for showing me where not to go or what not to do. I've had friends in my life that used a lot of drugs, and I watched where that took them. And I had friends that had a lot of anger, and energy, and they just wanted to be the ultimate warrior. And I saw where that took them.
Right. Yeah. The Tibetan tradition that there's Tibetan Buddhism, which is really popular. Always talking about 7 yogas of Naropa and attainments and those supernatural skills, and but they also talk about attachment, and that's what they are, is they're false attainments. And they're if you attach to those, you that's where you stay. That's where you stop. And nobody talks about that. I'm not sure why, but it is an important thing. Like when they're getting these messages, their talents, their psychic abilities, and they start to have this power that they could abuse, they could use, they could really take control over people. That's the time to be educated in, these are maybe false attainments and maybe not even so accurate, maybe 30% accurate, but enough to, grab people and entice them, and, the power and all the, what do you call those, 7,
like,
all
the cities or the abilities, or there's a lot of different names for them.
Yeah. But that's usually a good bait. It's a good type of bait, and it's a mind trap.
Well, I've seen some teachers, and not to, I don't know, I sound like judgment, but I'm only bringing this out just to help people with some pitfalls and get your wisdom on it. But I've also seen some teachers where actually beings jump into them, and they allow these beings to work through them, and some of these beings aren't so friendly, and there seems to be a major price to pay. So what would be the best way to avoid that? Avoid going off in the wrong direction with that, or getting caught up in powers and abilities and losing your heart, your love connection.
Yeah, that's actually what I like about you. I actually I got to see a little bit of, what you do and what you say and the messages you give out, and it is about the heart. people are having this longing, and they also want to be special, and maybe attaching to a spirit, or channeling something, whether it's good or bad. It still makes them special. Whether it's they're getting beat up by it or not, it still makes them special. And that kind of attachment, it's a little abusive, but we see a lot of abusive relationships around. And the spiritual one is no different. But yeah, the connection to the heart, to really have a good relationship with your heart, to build your identity around that, and to learn how to let it resonate with that. Guides only know as much as your parents and your teachers and any other teacher would know, but it still has to resonate with your heart. And
exactly, I always tell people that these beings, if what you're experiencing with these incredible beings, it has to be within you, or you couldn't experience it. So rather than put it outside of yourself, it's time to own it within yourself, and they're just here to remind us, of that same God within us that they're expressing. There's no difference between us and these higher beings.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about your messages. Is it was very central, and it was very important, and yeah, I got a really nice sigh of relief inside.
Yeah, that's not. Well,
that is the message people need,
Yeah, I watched some of your talks and things like that with Sons here at the ranch, and he was asking me. He said, "So what do you think?" And I said, all I had to do was look at him and hear him say about 3 sentences. I already knew him. I said, I already knew his heart and what he was all about, and so, I said, that's the thing. It's an energetic signature that you pick up on, that you can feel, when somebody's really coming from a high space, or a very loving space, you might say. But I'd love to hear about some of your just daily personal practices and what you do, just on a day-by-day schedule, you might say.
On a day-to-day schedule, I treat a lot of patients, cancer patients. I do a lot of private lessons. I work the entire day. I work all the way through the night, but I'm meditating the entire time, so I'm enjoying it. It's 24-hour meditation for me. So I'm sitting, standing, teaching in a nice, beautiful state all day, and then I go move around all night and do my qigong and kung fu, and I have a personal practice, which is to be asleep and awake at the same time, and also to be in meditation for 24 hours a day. That way, even if I fail for 16 hours, I'm still successful for 8 hours. It's better than putting it off, penciling it in.
That's a good one. Yeah, someone's telling me you only sleep, 2 hours a night?
I could fail 23 hours and still be successful for one.
Yeah.
There's no fail.
Yeah. There's an old saying, I never made a mistake. I manifested a lot of things and gained a lot of wisdom.
That's a nice way to see it.
Yeah. Like, now I know what I don't want, I guess you wouldn't know what you want, or you have to experience the other stuff to know it, or you'd never know it. So it's just evolution.
Yeah.
So what do you sleep? Maybe 2 hours? 2 hours a day or something, or?
I sleep 2 hours a day. I sleep from 6:30 to 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
The body has to rest a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're sleeping 24 hours a day, you might have to catch up a really nice deep sleep for 2 hours. But you're also awake the rest of the whole day too. So it's a really nice way to bring out the best in everybody, and to really prioritize your energy and your life, and really see what's not worth doing and what is worth doing. It's a really amazing practice for me. It inspires me, every day with wisdom, and I get little gems out of it all the time, because I can't afford to do something I don't want to do, which is amazing for me.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that when you reach a certain level of evolution, not that there are levels, everything's one, but it seems like basically the only thing that does bring you joy is helping others and serving. Everything else is just kind of just,
Yeah, it falls
day
to
by
the
day.
side. Yeah, yeah, that is the most important. I think that's the most rewarding, and I think it's the most you get the deepest connections. You bring the best out in everybody, and it's a good example for others to follow.
Hmm.
I think that's the best. That's always the best job is service.
Yeah.
It's how
Have you ever walked away from your work and just saying, you know what, screw this, I quit. I'm just going to get a day job
uh,
somewhere or something
uh,
like that.
yeah, there's some times where someone just going through their ups and downs, and you think you feel a little betrayed, but there's so much other the rest of the people just outweigh them so much. I could never make that decision.
Hmm.
I have a really lucky life. My family's great. Every patient I have is great. They all treat me so nice. One patient going through a little drop, little drop in energy here and there is really not so bad.
Hmm.
It does feel a little betrayed sometimes, but I under I'm supposed to understand what betrayal is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a few
Betray-
times in my life where I've just said, you know what, I'm done. Forget this path, and you get
yeah,
beat up by the dark forces and friends and family and things
yeah,
like that. And you just go on, you know what, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to move to another country and do, and do nothing, even
yeah,
if it's wrong, and that usually
yeah.
lasts about maybe 2 or 3 days, and then
That's
the
right.
spirit kicks your butt, kicks you right back on
That's
the path
true.
again.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
My ninjutsu teacher, he taught me about just feeling betrayed in general. He said you feel betrayed because you have you can see the potential in people, and when you see their potential, you think that you raise your standards of them. You raise your expectations of them, and that's what betrays you.
Yeah, that's a
And
good way
so
of
what
that's
I
a very
figured
good
out
way
is
of looking at it.
yeah. What I figured out is if I lower my expectations of everybody, they either meet or exceed it. I'm happy 24 hours a day. It's
That's
not a low expectation. It's just a realistic one.
yeah, that's a great one because what I see with a lot of people is people will fall in love with somebody else's potential and
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
don't realize that maybe that person hasn't reached that potential yet and
That, that's right.
they're
Yeah.
they're acting out a lot of other lower potentials,
I
on the
know.
way.
Famous last words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so they go through that honeymoon phase,
that's
where the
right. Yeah.
chair gets kicked
I
out
think
from under
I
them.
think that causes a lot of heartbreak. With or without a relationship.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's so much easier just to be happy for no reason, no expectations, and let people do whatever they need to do,
Yeah.
their process. The speaking of processes, I know right now, and I'm sure you're being inundated with this, but that these energies coming in, there does definitely, seem to be a vibrational lifting or an awakening healing process where the whole earth is undergoing right now. Uh, do you have any, ideas or methods or people can deal with, assimilating these new energies?
With what? Oh, with the new energies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
assimilating them so they don't just you know, fall apart through them or
Yeah, it still has to do with the heart, to be centered in the heart. But a lot of us are empathic, and so what we think we should be feeling, how we should be feeling, these energies are opposite of what we should be doing. When the master says sit and watch the candle flame, we would sit and watch the candle flame, and I'm sure some of us would see past lives and faces and mountains and travels and all those things. But being empaths, just becoming that flame is one of the most important things, you know. To hold 90% and radiate the light and warmth that comes off of it is almost uncharacteristic of an empath, but that's what they need to do to be strong. So they need to hold the 90% to be a strong person, to have a strong identity, to radiate from their center, you know, all these energies and hold it, you know, where they are integrated in the universe and they are strong and it does radiate with a lot of strength and it's recognized by the people around them and it ignites the people around them. I think that's one of the most important. And that's what I teach the most is, you know, I teach empaths how to get their shen together.
Shift happens, you know.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, I know so many people right now that are empaths and they're feeling everything. I mean, they're feeling, you know, these events in Japan, they're feeling the whole process of the entire planet and friends and family and everything else and you know, they're just losing it, kind of going bonkers with this stuff. And you know, that is excellent advice, you know, to maybe get a candle and start doing some focus work on becoming the flame.
Yeah, that's their skill is to, they could become anything and anybody and any energy. They could become the flame if they stop projecting on it and just relax.
Yeah.
They could really feel the strength.
Yeah, they need to stop focusing on the shift, all the shift coming at them.
Yeah, it's that urge inside. You know, their urge is to go 100% outward, and the urge is to, you know, do everything for everybody, and the urge is to give 110%, and it should be to hold it and to embody it and to, you know, be a good example, be strong.
Mm-hmm. Now, the old Bodhisattva program, it seems like, was to, you know, to take on all the pain and suffering of the world and try to transmute it and things like that. But that doesn't seem to be the path right now, especially considering what the world's going through.
That's right. Yeah. That's, you know, that's a good example. The Bodhisattvas were the ones that hold the door open for everybody and wait till everybody gets through the door before they close the door. And the Buddhas were the one working on themselves, you know. You can help a lot more people when you're a Buddha than if you're a Bodhisattva, you know. It's a higher electricity bill, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to pay your dues on that one.
Right, yeah.
We've had that in classes here when we're doing self-mastery classes. We've had, like beings appear, and I don't even know who they are, and they tell me, and then I find out, they're one like Amitabha and things like that, and these cosmic Buddhas come in and appear, and it's kind of interesting, you know. But it's just everybody goes, don't you freak out when that happens? And I go no, it's just interesting, you know. I have fun with it, you know. I feel their energy. It's awesome, you know. I love them, you know, but I don't go running around screaming their names and putting little necklaces on their pictures, you know.
I think the time for that's over.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
I thought about this idea as I was going to get these necklaces, you know, with where you put the face in the middle of the necklace for everybody to wear, and I was going to put my face in the necklace and then pass it out to all the people that come. And the people that don't wear the necklace, those are going to be the students. Those are the ones I'm going to teach. Everybody that puts the necklace on, I'm going to kick them out.
Hey, that's a good way. Yeah.
Ones that go, I'm not wearing this. I go, okay, you're in.
Yeah. You know. That's an amazing way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the other day I was giving a talk in Palm Springs, and I asked like 2 or 3 questions, and I raised my hand, and then I said, okay, how many people believe they're separate from omnipresence? And I raised my hand, and some bunch of people in the audience raised their hand, and I go, got you. You know, it's like, you know, stop following, you know, you know, you know, it was pretty funny. But most of them, I was amazed though. There wasn't a whole lot, but some of them just raised their hand, and I said, you know, you're giving your power away. You need to stop. You need to keep that rational mind going and
Right.
discernment.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
just give it away to anybody. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I see a lot less people like that from maybe in the early 90s and before where, there you see a lot of that, but it's a lot less now. People are a lot smarter. I'm really impressed.
yeah,
I'm
I
really
was
impressed.
impressed
They're
too because
clearer.
you used to pull that stunt. Almost everybody would raise their hand. They'd see you raise
Yeah.
your hand, and they didn't want to be left out of the group, and they go, "Oh, this guy's brilliant. I better raise my hand." But I was amazed
Yeah.
that a lot of the vast majority of people did not raise their hand. This gave me that look, like yeah,
Yeah.
right. So I go, all right, you got a good crowd
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, isn't that impressive? I haven't seen that for years.
No, I'd love to get your take on, your interpretation of the current world events, and kind of what's going on or what you see unfolding, as we move into, the next maybe 2 or 3 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. It's a really nice opportunity, for just reflection on what you're doing, what you're putting aside, what you're putting off, what you need to do, and what your priorities are. And it's it's sort of our turn. I know that people focused on right now what's in the news, but there's a lot that's not in the news that's on every day, and it's very similar news. It's just that it's us now. It has to do with us, and this these crises have been going on. It's every day, right? And it's
Hmm.
everywhere. It's just that these made the news because these are threatening us, and but it's our turn to be aware too, and to set our priorities, and to be ready, and to prepare ourselves, and to work on ourselves, and to to set to set to set our families and our groups, our core groups, strong.
Hmm.
It is the process still. Maybe it's not like in a big enlightenment, but it's still about the process and not about the end point. I really feel that this is it's a really valuable thing to experience and to see and to to understand, to think about. It's a big brainstorm, and sometimes it takes a crisis for that. But it's time, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a time for self reflecting and being accountable and being responsible for, what you're participating in and what you're feeding and what you're involving yourself in. And I'm seeing the whole world right now is getting uh,
Yeah,
a huge reflection coming back to them right now on what they're involved with and whether or not they should continue in that process.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it really comes back fast. Wow. Yeah, it's good to get feedback.
Yeah. Seems like the
Yeah,
feedback is coming back almost, it's like instant now. We're getting
it is.
instant
Yeah, it
feedback.
is. I guess it's important. It's important to be that fast right now. But I can,
Hmm.
it's. I notice a lot of people are doing, just what they're supposed to be doing, and they weren't doing it a few weeks ago. And maybe it seems a little late, but better late than never. And it's a very huge catalyst.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it
They're all
does.
ears
It
now.
does seem.
Everybody's all ears. Yeah,
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people in leadership positions that were in the mainstream and just following the status quo and doing whatever they were told to do are
yeah,
are seem to be breaking ranks now, and a lot of them are just stepping forward and saying this is wrong, this is not right, and spilling the
yeah,
beans on a lot of stuff right now, and I mean it's everywhere. In a way, when I watch that, I don't watch it with attachment. In a way, I'm kind of watching it going, all right, I can see the shift happening, and I
yeah,
can see the flow where the flow is going, but at the same time, try not to get emotionally involved in it, or try to depersonalize the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, that's true. You know, when I see all the tragedy, it's just amazing tragedy. You know, I know with the tsunami, we almost forgot about the tsunami, but there were old people and babies in those cars, and there's a lot. But I also know that that was happening every day, every hour somewhere else, and then I wasn't, and I almost felt bad to just feel bad about that when if I was more aware, I would have been crying 24 hours a day for the rest of my life. And I think rather than do that, being strong pillars and helping and educating and helping people develop and get strong is more important.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just out of curiosity. Have you ever met Khan?
No, I haven't met Khan. No, I haven't met him yet. That's right. I actually looking forward to it. I've never had the opportunity.
Yeah, he's just a big mountain of joy. Just a wonderful spirit, and he's over there now. What's really awesome is that his village, his whole village, was completely wiped out by the tsunami, and his family, he thought, and everything. And he just found, I think it was just yesterday, I'm pretty sure he found his mother and father, and he thought they were just totally, erased from the face of the earth like the rest of the village. But, and I don't know if he has other family over there as well. I haven't been able to communicate with him, but we just got news that he did find his parents and they were okay, which was amazing considering what happened. I don't know the whole story, but it's like a miracle that they survived, that whole situation.
Amazing.
And
he must come from a powerful family.
Yeah. Well, I think that the gods were smiling on him and his family that day, and they probably knew he didn't need to carry that, in his work. But he's working, helping other people reunite and connect now, and in that process, he ended up finding his own family, which is pretty amazing.
I'm looking forward to meeting him. He's strong and he's all heart and he's strong all the way through. It's amazing.
Yeah, he is. He's it's funny. I had him. I was trying to get my back adjusted. It was stuck, and so I said, "Hey, can you?" I showed him what I wanted to do, and he just picked me up and shook me like a rag doll, and it popped back in.
Oh yeah, I got one of those over here.
Yeah. And I go, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. It's like, so it's pretty funny. We've had a lot of fun up here. We took, he's got those. I don't know if you've seen the photos. Have you seen the photos that he took here?
I did. With the light, the manifested light and the dragon body photos. I did.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, with Kuan Yin and Mary, and he got these felines, these 12-foot tall felines. He got photographs of them. Have you ever come across the felines, or is that something you can talk about?
I come across the strangest things. I try not to make a big deal out of it, and sometimes I don't even tell anybody I see them, but I see a lot of strange stuff. I think there's definitely a lot of stuff between here and there, and and I already was trying to believe that there's no space between any two people, but there sure is a lot of stuff in that space.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was just wondering because I know I've seen they've been working with people basically throughout their lives, and some know about it, some don't know about it, and I've actually run into some scientists that have actually met these beings straight up and have been given technology that is Earth-friendly technology, some pretty amazing things, and I've noticed that I wasn't really I'm sure like you, I wasn't looking for these things, but they do seem to pop up in the process. And but
Yeah.
I was just curious if you've had any interactions with them. I've seen two different. One has like a
Really?
lion head, and the other one has
Yeah.
a cat head.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they're
I see lion. I see lion here. Not much. I see a lot of snake here and weird goldfish-looking things, and
uh-huh.
those the ones that look like Godzilla.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Are those
Yeah.
like the oh God, what's that? The moho?
Maybe. Yeah, they look like baby Godzilla, I guess.
Uh-huh. Yeah, those are
Yeah, and the
interesting.
ones with the snakes with the human upper body. I think it's just the lineages or the connections of the local
Mhm.
people here is what I see. Just
Yeah.
that's what's more prevalent.
Now, I know that the in Hawaii, I guess Pele has her pet kind of dragon, the moho.
Oh yeah, the
That
mole. Yeah, yeah,
I
the
don't know if
mole.
you've seen that guy running around.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. There's the mythical mo'o, which travel through underground tunnels under the islands
Hmm.
and like lava tubes. And then
Yeah.
there's actually indigenous mo'o, which is like they look like iguanas. They're 3 to 4 feet, and they're up in the mountains. So
Uh-huh.
it's something
Interesting. Yeah, I've
very
heard different stories,
integral.
and I was trying. I think you answered that question because somebody else was saying they see him up in the mountains all the time, and I guess that's the one they're talking about is the iguana.
Yeah, I don't know if they shift from one shape to another, but yeah, there's two forms. There's
Yeah.
definitely two forms. I actually
Hey.
took Pele home. I picked her up on the side of the road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I bet that was interesting.
yeah. I tried to keep a sense of humor. I don't know if you want to hear the story.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, it was 2:30 in the morning. It was pitch black. The highway that I was on, there's no street lights. It was raining really hard, and I drive past this woman in a red sarong, barefoot, walking in the rain in the dark. And I knew, oh no, I have to go pick her up. So I circle around, and I come back around, and I pull over next to her, and I say, "Excuse me, do you want to get in the car? I'll give you a ride." And she turns around, glares at me, and screams, "No!" And just shook my whole body. Every hair in my body stood up. And so I said, "Okay," and I went, and then I said, "No, I gotta go pick her up. I have to take her home." So I circle around again, and I say, "You know, I really think you should get in the car, and I'll take you home. You just point and show me where." And so I get her in the car, I turn the heater up for her, and she looks at me and says, "You're a very nice man." And then I'm thinking, "Please don't disappear. Please don't disappear." And it was really a Hawaiian girl in a red sarong, and she was only wearing the sarong, and she was completely barefoot, and she pointed out where she wanted to get dropped off, and I dropped her off way out somewhere on the side of the road. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I grabbed a pet tree frog in an aquarium, and I handed it to her, put it in her hands, and I said, "Here, have my tree frog." And I drove away looking in the rearview mirror at her, wondering if she got my joke.
Yeah.
uh,
Did she vanish on you?
no, I'm glad she didn't, but wow, that was some strong energy. Pele
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
comes in the form of a beautiful Hawaiian woman in a red sarong,
Uh-huh.
or in the form of an
Interesting.
old lady with silver hair and a dog. And
Hmm.
in tradition, we're supposed to give her gin or cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah. I had some experiences when I was over there with her as well. It was pretty fascinating. The dog one too was interesting because there was
Yeah,
this moho or mo'o, I guess you should say, that was at a place I was staying, and it kept coming out. And we were putting food out for it, and I was trying to get a picture of it, and I kept and it would trigger the lights and it would take the food, and I'd grab my camera and I'd run out there and the thing would be gone, and all I'd see is these orbs, big balls of red light, in the photograph,
yeah.
and it
Wow.
kept disappearing. And so I go, I'm gonna get a picture of this thing. I'm gonna get a picture of this thing. And so the third time I went out there to grab a picture of this thing, I see this dog, and it's kind of a real light colored dog, and it's running away from me when I was going to take the picture, but its feet
Yeah.
weren't moving.
Wow.
It was running
Yeah,
away,
it
but
just
its
was
legs,
going.
it looked
Yeah.
like a cutout, you know. It looked like it was cut out of cardboard, and
Yeah.
its tail went up and then straight back, like it was broke almost, like a weird angle. And
Yeah.
and I was talking to Nahi. I don't know if you've met Nahi over there. She's one of the kahunas over in Maui about that. And she
Oh,
goes, "Oh no, that was the moho." She said it actually can shapeshift, and it always often shapeshifts into a dog,
yeah.
and runs alongside of Pele. And she said, but it never gets it right. When it shapeshifts, it never quite
Oh,
gets
it
it
is. That's
right.
why the legs weren't moving.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's why the
funny.
tail was bent back like
Yeah.
that, and the legs weren't moving, as it was going away. And
That's
and
funny.
I didn't even take a picture of it. I go, it's just a dog, and I go, wait a second, its legs aren't. It's forgetting to move its legs while it's running. So
Yeah.
it was pretty bizarre. But
Wow.
that was one of my little experiences with the
Yeah.
with the
Well,
moho.
I got a scarier story about Pele. I was, I was teaching some of Pele's teachings, from the Kahuna, and
Mm-hmm.
I made a generalization, like, there's a lot of similarities in the lineages. So I made a generalization about the lineage, and then I got a little flash of Pele in my head, and I
Uh-huh.
thought, did I do something wrong? So later on in the night, I'm sitting down, relaxing, and my body just jumps up and arcs off the ground, and this giant pig comes just charging through my chest, and I'm thinking, wow, what is this? And it's screaming, and it has eyes like a spider, so it's this huge pig with so many eyes on either side, and it's screaming and screaming, and so I didn't know, I had no idea what that was at the time. I call my friend and I say, hey, can you have your friend, the last person I interacted with, I figured it was him. I said, can you have your friend, pull his pig back? He sent it after me. And she said, oh, I don't think it's him, but I'll go call him. And so I get a message back that says, the Kamapua, is rarely sent after somebody, but the only person that would send him is Pele, and you must have had done something really disrespectful. So I had to go.
Yeah.
I had to go email Pele really quick and say my
Yeah.
respects, say hello, and
Uh-huh.
renew my respect with Pele. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I know she seems to be I know a lot of other masters or teachers or whatever or beings like that are pretty forgiving, but she seems to be like you
Yeah,
get it
she's a
right
little
with her,
hot-blooded.
she'll
Yeah,
burn you.
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Hot-headed, hot-blooded. No offense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that fire energy. It's going to bust you right through, or it's going to burn up the nonsense. You're either going
Yeah.
to live through it or and learn,
Yeah.
or you may not. Who knows?
Pretty
But
direct. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to cover one more. We're almost out of time, unfortunately, but I know you've had some experiences with the Menahunis and the night marchers and
Yeah.
some of the other things over there.
Yeah. I see a lot of minihunis. There's places on the island, these minihunis are small and they're see-through. Like those dragons, like people don't normally see them, but I think anyone could see them as long as they sit and just watch nature for a little while, and then you start seeing them run back and forth, and
Mm-hmm.
especially on a certain part of on this island that I live. And I have a lot of stories about minihunis. Some some have driven some people crazy. They're
Yeah.
practical jokers. They move things around. I've moved things around with them.
Yeah.
The night marchers are these huge hulking shadows, and I guess the most interesting story is that I went out to Hanama Bay. I know when people go to Hawaii, they go see Hanama Bay, and I went to go bless a recreational center out there. I took two people with me, and they just wanted to, experience something and help me and maybe watch my back a little bit. So I took them to the back, and I said, "Hey, where do you think the Night Marcher Trail is?" So they're scanning the air, and they say, "Oh, I think it's coming from whatever up that way." And they said, "Okay, let's play a game. Close your eyes. Where's the Night Marchers?" And then they're pointing outward, and I said, "Guess again." And they go, "Oh no," and they were right there. And we were wondering what to do, and I said, "Hey, my Pagwa's chi boxing. So let's try and play a game with the Night Marchers. We'll challenge them. We'll put a vortex out over here, and then if I win, I put them in the vortex. If I lose, we leave. We don't come back." So I said, "Sit down and watch my back, and you guys kind of hold the space for me." And wow, that was an experience. I'm so glad I was stupid, but I wasn't. I was skilled.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I'll bet.
yeah, that was a nice experience doing bagua with chicken skin.
Yeah.
But we put the night marches in the vortex, and we got the place blessed. But those guys are so huge. There's such a connection with the land. There's such a connection with the land and the Hawaiian people.
Yeah.
When they die, their belief in the land is so strong. Sometimes they get wedded to it.
Now, is there? I don't know if you're. What's if people want to get a hold of you, or what's the best way? Or are you pretty? You're probably pretty full with all your classes and your other.
I have classes. My classes are closed to the public, and that's why I do some. Sometimes I do things to balance it out. Like I think some of the information should get out there. And, it's a big responsibility to train with me and try to, follow a tradition like that. But I also could share that with the rest of the world and, so they can see what I see, but they see it in their own practices. And so that Dragon Gate Sanctuary, Dragon Gate Sanctuary at gmail.com, that goes to my staff, and then they forward me some letters and they take care of figuring out where everything goes.
Okay, great. That's the best way. Well, really unfortunately, we're out of time. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's been a great connection. I'm sure everybody had a great time and felt the energy that you're holding over there in Hawaii.
Thank you. I really enjoyed talking to you. That was what I was looking forward to the most, was getting to talk to you. And yeah.
You too. Hey, well, we're out of time, unfortunately, so I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on the show. But anyway, we're out of time, folks. I know there's so much more we'd want to get into, but we'll maybe bring him on again some other time. And it's James Gilliland with As You Wish Talk Radio, signing off. Have a great evening. Good night.